Hi guys! Right now we're learning to read our opponents by going through some Protoss examples, because in this matchup, in PvP especially, it's very easy to get lost and to fall into that trap of sitting on your butt. And I want to emphasize how important attacking is in gaining information. Hua. So the question I asked before the break is, given this situation that we're in right now, we just did a nice drop that was pretty effective. We killed off some workers. I don't want you to think of it in terms of 7 workers, because 7 is a number that observers see. It's not something that Hero would see. Hero would just know I killed off a good amount of Protoss. Alright, so what does Hero do now? Some people were saying expand and continue to only build Immortals. Expand and only build Immortals. That's, I think, certainly an alternative. I think that's certainly a possibility. Others were saying tech, with this opportunity, to have bought ourselves a little bit of time, let's go ahead and build a Twilight Council and go blink. And if you do that, what should you do? If you go Twilight Council and blink, what should you do? You should frickin' get aggressive if you have a lot of Immortals in there. What I don't want you to do is to do one of these like double defense things where you expand and get blink and a bunch of Immortals and be gradual with your expands. And why is that? Why is that? Well, our opponent in this circumstance, what can he do? He's going Blink Stalkers. He better rebuild that pylon. What can he possibly do? Well, he can just be making a huge crap ton. Actually, there's 2 things that he can be doing after he's lost all those probes. Think in his spot. Attacking, teching, or expanding. Think about those possibilities right now. Really, the only ones that he can do, in my eyes, are making a crap ton of Blink Stalkers and trying to kill us. Or he can say, well, I guess my opponent can't attack me that soon because I have Blink Stalkers, so I'm going to expand. That's why it's so important to get aggressive if you do decide to start teching up. I actually think attacking right now would not be a bad idea at all, starting to get really aggressive. Obviously, you want to defend this backside quite a lot. There's the Twilight Council going down right now. I see absolutely nothing wrong with expanding and then continuing to harass down here. But we're using Immortals as a big focus, so we really either need to expand or attack. Immortals are a pretty damn horrible unit to defend with, and tech. Pretty damn bad. And the simplest reason why, getting Immortals, the act of getting Immortals, almost never forces your opponent to do anything. Almost never really forces him to do much of anything. If you get Immortals and start being really, really aggressive, then okay, your Immortals are getting active. If you're expanding, then cool, the Immortals are helping to defend that. The Immortals are a support unit. They themselves, just sitting there existing, don't really do that much. If you get Dark Templar, that forces your opponent to get detection. I mean, if you just wander up to the front, see stuff, and wander back because there's a turret, cool, that Dark Templar has actually done some help. But Immortals by themselves, just sitting around, don't really do that much. Oh, and ain't this a clever play from OGS Hero? Why is this so clever to get a Dark Shrine? Well, he can either be... ooh, look at that. Look, doing the whole shebang of things. Yeah. Helping to be aggressive, not just going to sit on his butt and defend. He's going to go ahead and get those DTs out, again, to kind of do some of this counter-harassment. Basically saying, you're low on gas, cool, I'm going to mess with you. This is a surprisingly popular transition. If you are opening up Robo, and then you see your opponent going for Blink, you just instantly go for Dark Templar.
From the shadows,
He can't both attack and defend at the same time, can he? Well, not with Blink. Here we go, wandering right on in. Boom! Oh, doing damage, attacking. Yeah, kind of a cool play. This is actually quite sweet. So remember, what were the 2 things he could have done? He could have made a crap ton of Stalkers, or he could have expanded. And it looks like he went down the expand route. If he went down the crap ton of Stalkers route, think how good the DTs would be then. He can only have all his Blink Stalkers being aggressive in one place in time. He can't just keep some back. Alright, now we've done that damage. Should we attack, expand, or tech? Well, It's kind of hard to tell, but... it's kind of hard to tell exactly what his army size is. We got some good glimpses. This is an extremely effective thing to do when we have our immortals. They can support our attack. Now, I want you to note that some of you probably thought at this point in time, oh yeah, it's probably best to attack because that guy has almost nothing. That's actually not quite accurate. As we can see in this engagement, blue has a good amount of stuff. He actually has quite a large amount of stuff. However, we know that our immortals are always going to be able to boss it up and sort of be hard to kill us. We might not be able to do a lot of damage with an attack, but most importantly, we get a really accurate sense of what he's up to. When we attack, we cross off possibilities. Suddenly, our opponent can't be getting a whole bunch of Colossus. Why? Because we'll just kill him. And look at that. Look at this. With this nice opportunity, we just poked up, and we're just going to pull right back. It looks like our opponent can't be doing that much for that much longer. Or he can't support these expansions and have a huge army for that much longer with the amount of pressure we're sort of laying on his front. The only way he can do this is if he really devotes hardcore to units. So we're just going to nibble ahead in the tech front. So let's go ahead and do one of those read things. Can our opponent have any forges? Can our opponent have Colossus tech down? Can our opponent have 5 gateways? Ask yourself these questions. Ask yourself about the buildings. What can he possibly have? I don't think he can possibly have a forge because we attacked. I don't think that he could possibly have a Colossus because we attacked. He probably could have a 5th gateway though. And as I come here, well, it looks like he does have a forge but no upgrades. Actually, I probably should have been ultra clear about that one. If I say forge, definitely mean forge plus upgrades. A forge for cannons for Dark Templar is pretty... That seems pretty paranoid by this Protoss player. But of course, LiquidHero will do that to you. Nyah, nyah, nyah. So alright, now we're in total defense mode. We have a read on him. He can't really be getting that much stuff. What should we do? What should be our next play? Should we attack? Should we defend? Should we expand? Should we tech? Well, obviously, with this huge attack at the front of our base, it's probably best to just sit for a little while and make sure that we don't end up losing. God, those are like unbelievably good force fields by the other guy. Holy crap, those are great force fields. But then we have a Colossus to bash him down. Yeah. Now, at this point in time, now that we're finally starting to get a little bit of stability, what's going to be the play? What can our opponent have? What can the opponent have in terms of buildings? Where can the opponent even go in terms of buildings? He probably can't get a bunch of upgrades and tech. He probably can't be getting another expansion. He's actually probably committed to just making units. Should we attack, expand, or do some sort of tech stuff? I'm waiting. Probably not attack, right? We should probably not attack. Why? Because it's not going to force him to do any sort of change. He actually kind of has to make units. In my eyes, the best thing to do is just to build up a ton of Colossus. We don't want to expand, really, because he has to make a ton of units. You can do these sorts of poking and proddings, but at this point in time, I would probably be trying to, at the very least, position myself in a scary way. You know, maybe wander out to here. But my big technique is going to be just to overwhelm with a lot of Colossi and eventually be trying to go for this. I don't actually want to be doing too much attacking right now. Why? Because he just can't possibly have that much stuff. I'm going to pause again. I'm going to ask you this same question. How many gateways does he have? I bet you he has only just now been able to start Colossus production. He might be able to get 2 robotics facilities up and start to catch up, but we should be at 2 to his 1 or 0 Colossi. Okay, cool. That's where we are. And again, this is the sanity check thing. Yeah, he's just started to build Colossi. Yeah, he's actually just now starting to build a whole bunch of infrastructure. Actually, an absolutely insane amount of infrastructure. He can't really have had all that much stuff before this point in time because of how aggressive he was being. And this is just a general trend I want you to slowly start picking up on. As we're watching these games, it's becoming more and more clear whenever he's attacking me, he can't be doing that much stuff with his buildings. The more aggressive he is in terms of hurling stuff at you, the more difficult it is for him to just do any kind of buildinging. Stalkers are really, really, really expensive. Like, basically, it's one stalker or one gateway. So, as you're getting just bludgeoned to death with these gigantic attacks, feel good. Feel really good. Feel great. We're going to jump into another game because I really want to get into a fourth game and just do some blind analysis. This game I have not seen at all. Let's start trying to pin stuff on our opponent and try to do some action items. Aw, yeah. Alright, OGS Hero. We're going to speed you up to ×8 where the encoder begins to panic and lag begins to pop in. We don't care. We're going to begin blasting right on through it. And we see our opponent has some chrono boost, not a ton. Meanwhile, back home, we're at the same. We're getting a zealot out. Is our opponent getting a zealot out? Yep, he is. That seems reasonable. Looks like, is our opponent taking a second gas? I would love to know that. That's a hugely important bit of information. Yep, there's the second gas going down. And this distribution of chrono boost is important as well, to see that there's one chrono boost being spent there. What can our opponent not be doing? Probably not a scary 4-gate, because we have gas, and we have stalkers. Oh, one thing I just want to note right now, if you're having trouble concocting like these lists of what he can and can't be doing, just start saying stuff out loud. Like, for me, 4-gate, can he do it? Well, that one chrono boost not on the warp gate, that hurts the 4-gate. Ooh, this thing, that hurts the 4-gate. Probably not a 4-gate. That seems pretty reasonable to do. We're getting our assimilator up. Cool. Seems pretty reasonable at this point in time. Continuing to run around, and I'm a little surprised to see Hero willing to lose the probe that easily. Hero goes for a 4-gate. He's going for a 4-gate. He's going crazy. Why is that? Well, because our opponent, we saw him build this gas. We saw him chrono boost that stalker. And what we're just doing is chrono boosting our warp gate. Chrono boost it again, man. Chrono boost it. Come on, I dare you. Chrono boost him. Chrono boost it. Well, he whiffed a chrono boost that I really think is kind of an essential chrono boost. But you know what? Whatever. Sending 2 probes out. Cool. Sending 2 probes to do your 4-gate is pretty standard maneuver. And it looks like this player just did not want to be up against a 4-gate at all. And it looks like he won't actually have to be up against one. That's actually a pretty incredible response right there by that little Protoss guy. Now, I want you to think for a moment about what we saw. We saw a lot of these probes move down. We saw 2 stalkers move down. It's not unreasonable to conclude that he's probably going for some sort of tech-based play. What tech-based plays could he be going for? Robo? Blink Stalker? Could he be expanding? Probably not. Probably not if he's that unbelievably panicked. So, in this case, as we're going to be doing that little read on our opponent, we see a Twilight Council going down for Hero. Does this make sense or not? Do we like this or do we not like this? Well, we love the fact that he's completely cut making units. If our opponent is going for Blink, he's probably going to have a lot of Stalkers coming up soon. So we obviously want to be able to sort of match him in that regard. We probably won't have as many, but we'll want to be able to get our Blink up so that we can sort of stand somewhat toe-to-toe with him. If our opponent is going for Robo, then this seems to make perfect sense to go ahead and get the Twilight Council up. The last little bit of information is why would we get this expand up? If he's teching, he's either going for, or since he's not 4-gating, and we're fairly certain he's teching, he's either going Robo, in which case this is completely safe. I mean, what the hell can Immortals do? They can put 0 pressure on this early on. Colossus is going to take a long time. The only thing that's really scary to us is a guy who's going really crazy on the Blink. So we'll just have to make absolutely certain that we produce a lot of Stalkers. The one issue that we're going to have with this, let me actually restate what I'm going to say in terms of this attack, defend, expand thing, and tech. Should we attack? Well, no. He either has Robo with Immortals and we're screwed, or he's just going to have more Blink Stalkers and we're screwed. The teching and expanding makes sense because our opponent needs a little bit of time to get those upgrades up. Around 7:30 or 8, those will finish up, like the Blink stuff. And getting this sort of build, the one thing we're lacking is the Observer, is Blink with Observer. Which actually turns out to be pretty much okay because we've hardly spent any on sentries. We're spending no gas on the Observer, so all our gas is going to be pretty much devoted to Stalkers. So we're going to go ahead and easily catch up to that. Now notice this kind of funky thing that ended up happening. Well, what if our opponent just goes for a huge attack early on when we don't have our Blink quite done and we don't really have that many units? We can always just cancel this. This is one of these kind of hard to read spots. You actually have to commit to this. This expand was mainly great against a Robo player, but we were going to have a little bit of stickiness, a little bit of a sticky situation against some sort of super aggressive blinking player, especially if he got no observers up. This is actually a super brilliant move that a lot of Protosses are just starting to do nowadays. Just, oh yeah, no problem, I'm going to throw it down. So now I see the Phoenixes, and at this point in time, I'd probably be a little bit annoyed at myself that I canceled that expansion. I would have realized that I actually didn't need to do that.
Research complete.
And by the way, notice how smart this Phoenix play would be if Hero went for Robo. That'd actually be like super brilliant. Just lift up those Immortals and kill them, no problem. That's unfortunate. So what is our opponent doing? Well, he's pretty much going air with some limited ground. What's your next play? Obviously attack to kill off this expansion. And if he doesn't have the expansion up, then you're probably going to be in pretty decent shape. So at this point in time, we see the Robo. We saw the Immortal. We've seen some Phoenixes. What shall we do? We did the attack to get information. What do we do now? Tech or expand? Everyone's saying expand already. Nice. Alright, well that was pretty obvious. Yeah, why not expand? We've locked down his expansion. We can make a few extra Stalkers like that. But all I'm really trying to do here is control his expansion. This play to get the robotics facility honestly surprises me a little bit. As long as Hero devotes time... There you go, there's the expansion. Yeah, I mean, getting the robotics facility for the Observer so we can continue to blink in here and put pressure on, I think that's fine. But, I mean, this expand, I think, is a clearly correct move. Because, I mean, these Phoenixes have done absolutely nothing. They've killed off, like, a sentry. And we're doing a little stalkering around, killing off those pylons, etc., etc. Now I'm going to ask you some, another important question. Sweet, what is he doing? What can our opponent possibly have? What can our opponent possibly have here? Can he have an expand? Probably not. He maybe just started it. What about how many gateways? I would probably imagine, actually, of all tech paths, I'm actually going to cross them off one at a time rather than state the conclusion. Probably not going Blink. Why? Because we saw Phoenixes and Immortals. Be a hell of a big investment to go Stargate, then Phoenix, Robo, then Immortals, and say, damn, I really need Blink Stalkers. It's kind of too much gas. Probably is not going to be building a lot of Void Rays and other sorts of things, because we have Blink Stalker. Probably not... I mean, he could be going for some... Probably can't be going for Zealot Legs. Could be going for some just sort of huge 4-gate Immortal push. But more likely than not, he's going to be going Colossus. That's probably the most reasonable thing. No DTs, I think, could come out, because again, it's another huge tech deviation. I would imagine that he has 1 or 2 Colossi. It looks like he's expanding, and no, it looks like he's going for the expand, and he's going for the huge amount of extra gateways with the Immortal. So he definitely, indeed he doesn't have Blink yet. It would have been too hard for him to get that too much earlier. So it looks like he is devoting time to getting it, but... Yeesh, I gotta be honest with you, this seems real dicey. This seems like real dicey. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm real surprised that he's doing that. And You saw in the PVT game, you heard me go, wow, man, I did a terrible read. Woof, man. Because I thought the opponent had a bunch of medevacs and a whole bunch of Marine Marauders, and actually he had hardly any Marine Marauders and was just getting medevacs. In this case, I said, well, he can't really be having Blink because that wouldn't really make sense. It would seem weak. And you know what? This is going to be a super stupidly weak Blink. This is going to be... He's not going to have that many units. I really do not like this play. I mean, the only benefit is that this expansion was canceled, but it was, I even think, a little bit of a miscancel. This, I think, is just, clearly a misstep. Does he have more probes? Wow, no. He has the same number of probes as we do. Yeah, I think this is going to wind up costing our little buddy. Unless Hero is really passive for a long time. So at this point in time, I would want to very much so start getting aggressive. And one of the easiest things to do is to begin going Zealot Sentry, one of the best tactics of all time. If your opponent has a lot of Immortals, just start warping in the Zealot Sentry, because what really can he do? Now, if our little Protoss buddy here had devoted more of his resources to things that were not Blink, I think that would have been vastly, overwhelmingly better. And by the way, why did we attack? Because he's either getting some Colossus, this huge amount of stuff. I mean, if he's going Blink, that's just weak. And now Hero can just pick stuff off from the far. Aw, yeah, Hero. Now, obviously we're going to continue attacking because this just looks like a really good angle to attack. But the number one thing that I'm going to be building right now is probes, just getting my econ up. Kind of equivalent to expanding, in a sense. Focusing on Dat's monies. I still can't believe that guy went through all that effort to get all those different tech tabs, and then just was like, yeah, you know what? God, I just should have gone Blink in the first place. Hero's slowly chipping him down. Pretty standard stuff. So now I think we know clearly what our opponent is doing. There is not a chance in a billion years that Colossi are coming soon from our opponent, especially with this kind of aggression. The Immortal's not even really getting to participate in the battle. More Zealots coming in to continue the aggression. Probes aplenty, building lots of probes. Looking good. I would just probably continue to wail hard on this guy and just try to get my probe count way ahead. And as we come to this unit tab, bam! 42 to 31, suck it! Easy peasy Febreze. Doo-doo-doo. Now this is an extremely important example that we just went through. Let me talk about what my read was again, and then we'll just go ahead and stop, because this daily was unusually long, and I'm hungry. My read was, he really should probably be going Colossus. That's what makes the most sense. Colossus in an attempt to expand, or a whole bunch of Gateways and Immortals in an attempt to expand. One of those passive robo-ish plays. The biggest mistake that you can make is to say he physically can't be doing blah when he could. It would just be bad. It's not that it's physically impossible for this guy to go Blink. He can go Blink. It's just bad, right? He went for a bad Blink play here, and Hero is just exploiting it. It doesn't look as clearly bad as you might initially think, but, you know, like a gold level player might not be able to exploit this as well as Hero is. But when you get to Hero's level, getting Blink there is actually quite bad. And if you actually come to the Units tab, this probe differential is the biggest indicator. That all Hero needs to do is just attack and 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 attack, and boom! His probe count begins to leap ahead. And there's like a near 100% chance that this is going to be easy cleanup time for Hero. He just needs to go into defense mode. Get up a whole bunch of units. I'd probably begin getting Zealot Legs. There it is. Getting the Dark Shrine. Not just for DTs, but also Archons are going to be quite useful. Because we can do another push when he's low on Colossi. Easy peasy, Febreze, Parcheesi. Warping in more Stalkers. DTs move in. God, DTs are so good. Easy cleanup. Easy cleanup, don't have any probes or pylons. You know what, that was the daily, damn it. I'm going to go ahead and take questions from Markio's amazing question grabber. Apologies for the daily being so long, but no apologies at all. for having 3 different shirts in this daily. Boop doop doop doop, taking questions. Markio asks a great question. What if your probe slams face first into a wall off? What would be the next best decision to make when there is a complete lack of information? Attack is one of the best things to do. Or, I mean, you can do something like hit the wall off, walk away, wait a little bit, and go back to the wall off. Is there an add-on? Did he get a reactor? Did he get a... did he end up getting a tech lab? I mean, you can just do all sorts of the usual analysis and figure out exactly what's up. Let me see. Pure656 says, Day 9, when I expand in PvP, I always lose, even if I have a tech advantage. How can I expand safely? One of the big things to note in that matchup is that you can't... You have to start being able to list off when all the usual scary attack timings are. I'll list off a few of them. 4-gate, first big scary one. Then there is right when he finishes Blink, when he's rushing for Blink. Then there is the guy who builds some Immortals, and then builds some Stalkers with Blink, and then attacks. I would say that those are 3 very, very common attack timings that you should just get used to. Right when Blink finishes, when he goes straight for Blink, and then right after he goes Immortals, and then gets Blink. They're sort of like these staggered times. And you want to be aware of what all those attack timings are and do some huge adjustments to them. So here's an example of how this would pan out in a game. So a player, you open up with 2 Gateway Stalker. And as you're scouting around, you end up finding that he is sending his Zealots and Stalkers at you really aggressively at the start. Gee, probably going to be a 4-gate. And he's sending probes and building pylons. So you respond by getting some extra gateways of your own. Cool. Very simple example. Let's continue in another game. You open up with 2 Gateway Stalker. You're pushing out. You don't really see any probes. So you're like, oh, okay. Cool. I'm feeling pretty comfortable. So you actually expand right then and there because you just judged that no 4-gate was coming. You poked at his front. You saw a sentry there. Cool. You expanded. So now you've expanded, and you're starting to get really worried that he might be able to get some sort of blink play and be really aggressive at you. Well, if you poke at his front and you see an Immortal, oh, you know he's gone a Robo. Or if you try to poke at his front, you see no Immortal, then I would continue to remain a little bit fearful of that. And it's all these sorts of things that, as you've expanded, you're going to have to make huge adjustments. If you think that he is going for that blink sort of play, you may very well have to go for a Robo yourself and just build tons of units, tons of Immortals, and just play it out safe. Or you might have to begin devoting all your Chrono Boost to blink yourself and trying to just out-blink Stalker him, but that's actually really, really risky. If you see that he has gotten a Robo facility himself and he has that Immortal up, then it's time to really start ratcheting up the probe production for a little bit, get some additional gateways, and continue to build units. And maybe go for a faster blink. I've even seen players going for a Zealot with leg charge now. Or, like Hero does, go for DTs. You're going to have to make some big swingy adjustments when you see that. I'm going to take 2 more questions. God, this daily went on way freaking long. Wow. Day 9, have you watched a lot of Artosis' stream? Yes, and it's awesome. Go watch it right now. I think he's streaming. Wow. When is the next subscriber mono battles? Sunday. Yeah. So let me see here. What else? Oh, here's a great question from Iari. Dear Day 9, how would Hero rule out Dark Templar given the information he saw? If the Protoss was going DT, it seems like an auto-lose for Hero. That might actually be an accurate statement. There was a point in time where we crossed out DTs, but the point that Iari is talking about is right here, where this ends up happening. right now, we can't really be so certain that he's not going DT. Yeah, he actually could absolutely be going DT. Trying to think of what... 7:30 is about when that finishes. We did see this gas timing. I'm trying to think of any reason why we could cross that off. And I don't think that there's a in-game reason. I think that that is a potential misstep. And that's the sort of thinking that I think is really healthy. To look at a game where everything went pretty solidly and just say, but what if this happened? And that'll actually happen a lot. Like, you know, I know some aggressive 3-gate openings where you're supposed to poke and then expand and do other stuff. But sometimes you keep winning again and again and again and again with the poke, and you never actually get the chance to know if your follow-up is good. So there... Part of me wants to say that if we go 2-gate, or if we go 2 gas, which by the way is what our opponent saw. He saw 2 geysers up, or let me actually come back to earlier, before this geyser was built. Our buddies saw that this gas geyser was going up, and I think that's probably the only reason. If we're going for 2 gas early on, then that's a pretty encouraging sign that he could be getting observers pretty early. So I'm discouraged from going DT, but yeah, Ari, I think you're dead on the money. I think you're dead on the money. I don't even think Hero. Yeah. Nothing else to say, guys. We're gonna be doing some mono battling on Sunday. Get ready. I'm hungry as hell, man. I can't wait to eat. Oh, eating's gonna be good. Wonder where I want to go eat dinner. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at Terran games. No, excuse me. Next week we're going to be looking at Terran games. It's going to be good. It's going to be real good. It will be, of course, the... I'm still thinking about where I want to eat. This is why I don't do a daily for an hour and a half and why I try to keep it to an hour. I can't actually stay focused for that long. Little bit about day 9. Sushi. Ooh. There is no Fun Day Monday topic for Monday. Ooh, sushi. That's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm done. I'm just gonna stop. The daily's over, alright? It's over.